Hello everyone, Kurt over here, and welcome back to another episode from Hope Federal Labs. Today we're going to be continuing on with our study and observation regarding Fiore's dagger defenses, and today we're going to be working on one that is dealing with a shoulder break that gets on the underside of the body. Now, I've seen quite a few interpretations about this, and I think ultimately, once again, just like the one before in regards to how we go to the outside and strike the dagger arm down into the groin, thigh, or guts, I think there's several ways of being able to achieve this, and I think that that's kind of, again, the point. You're not trying to just do a single play here. You're trying to set up a shape, and in that shape, you create opportunities to branch this out into different fashions, okay? And again, this is nothing new to some martial arts that are out there, but again, if we're looking at Fiore and what we're talking about in this period of time here, I think this is one of the things right here that is helpful, is to once again understand concepts that we have in hand, and then also some of the terminologies that help us do for movements and countering actions. So with that being the case here, signal's put down, I got Vincent here, and we're going to get into it. Okay, so we have the send units down, Vincent's ready here, but before we start going into the play itself, which is depicted right here, I'm going to have a conversation about Largo and Stretta and how I don't think that it's just about going in or against somebody. This is trying to kill me there. I don't think it's just necessarily coming here or coming here. I think it has to deal with how wide or the angle in which you are stepping, okay? So before we get anywhere into this, I'm going to start talking about, we've talked a lot about moving in and moving in and moving in and all these things that come out with turns. But the thing that I want to bring to light here is what happens. So if I'm talking about using a stretta step in, this is much more direct and it plays into this one side. And again, if I do a pass, it's the same thing right here using Passari on the mezzovolta, right? We know if we go wide, we step wide, right? These are different things right here that help us get different angles. So this is all forward motion. For this one today, I'm going to be talking about utilizing Largo and Stretta in a different perspective, perhaps, in regards to, again, this is just about angle, and we're going to be talking about going backwards. So to emphasize this, I'm going to have to demonstrate first, then I'll go backwards as well so you can kind of see this. So if I'm talking about stepping back and just utilizing a simple, like utilizing like Largo or Stretta. So remember, we're talking about utilizing these lines. If I am in a position where I am turning and my feet are reversed, utilizing tutta volta, then essentially how I set that up is, again, we're in stretta or largo, depending on what type of situation that we have. So in this case, I can do the same thing using tutta volta. So remember, we're talking about turning backwards this way. We can turn back that way. And if you notice the foot, we are essentially in a stretta step just backwards. Because it's a narrow play with it. So just to kind of put myself over here so we can kind of see the angle. As I turn, my legs are like this. Now, we can also change this up by making it into a Largo step. So instead of me before, like I was doing this before, where I turn, break, and I'm stepping in a spot where my feet are linear, but very strong again this way. Give myself some space here. Instead, I'm going to talk about turning and going wide. And that right there is, again, if I turn and go wide, now you see, if I step and shift this around, I'm on this line right here as opposed to this line. So this is kind of multi-layered right here, and this is a very important piece here. And why do I think this is important? Because once again, in experimentation and training, this is incredibly effective of creating different effects in someone's arm, different height values, strength values, etc. that we're dealing with. Okay, so again, back to the image up there, and why I want, so again, like that's just a down derivative of that, but back to the image right here. We see the person is coming in with a knife, right? And we have this spot where they are turned behind, off of this. So already right there, that's just me setting it up. That's one way I think that this may happen. There's a couple ways of doing this, and we don't necessarily know, okay? So with this right here, this dagger that's coming in, understand that I'm first, as always, making that first cover. Now, I'm making this first cover and I'm working into this. The first way that this potentially could be getting to how the image has it is I've covered in here, I have the space, and I'm going to utilize dente di cingaro to come up, and now I'm right here, and there's the arm break. One more time from the other side here, maybe a little bit better to do it this way. Cover in, strike, 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 dente di cingaro, because this is open, 2, and now I'm here, and I'm able to throw and break the arm. Now, thing about that is, that's also trusting the fact that the dagger, am I going to hit myself in the head with the dagger? Kind of close, right? So we're going to talk about, this is why I was talking about largo and stretta, but utilizing tutta volta, and then stepping into largo and stretta. So in this case right here, I popped up, I strike the person, and now this person comes back at me. Well, if this person is using this right here, this rotation, I can essentially, once again, as they're turning with this, roll with it. And now, this dagger, it's harder to, this dagger is out of the way, it's not hitting me, and I have, on the image, it shows the dagger's on the ground. And now I'm in a spot where I can break this arm. Depending on how I achieve this, it's one of two things. And again, so if I come in here, boom, they're coming back at me, through, right? Mind you, this is not a hand, so it's a little bit different. That's what I got for right now. The other thing too is maybe they're toppling, maybe they're stronger, maybe they're taller than me. They're coming down with this shot that comes from above. So because they're coming down with this right here, rotating and then turning back this way. And again, depending how this works, I either step back and I'm now in this strong position. It's an arm break, right? Or I've stepped wide and I'm pulling them. So I'm going to show this right here, line this up so we can kind of see from a different vantage point here about what we're trying to do with our feet. So again, daggers in play. I make the cover, I have the space. They start coming back. And I'm here. It's just using tutta volta. My feet are very stretta. If I had stepped largo, and really going wide with this, they're already going to go with me. So either way of this, right here, we have a way of dealing with an inline attack against us. And that's just utilizing a turn, a tutta volta of the foot. Again, this is just how we make, one way of making this shape. It's, we know what hurts on a person, and we're going to exploit that. The other way, so you can kind of see once again, is we make that first cover. I'm going to wrench. I think first master plays where I'm trying to wrench the arm. Let's put the dagger away from my face. This is going to be very important. And I'm actually in the same exact position as before. I've just gone inward to this. And then there's the break. So one more time. Offline, rotate, squeeze. Tip of the dagger is going up, away from my face. Way is clear here. I use dente di cingaro. And now I'm on this side, break the arm. So both those right there are two viable possibilities. You understand the mechanics of Fiore and what this image is telling us of how we may achieve this position. Again, to me, I don't think it matters much to the maestro. He cares about, here's the things that you can utilize. So how you create this opportunity right here is what the situation dictates. So again, is this, if I do one play and that's it, and that's exactly what I have to do here, well, I've kind of limited myself to perspective. And that's an important piece about this one specifically, well, all of them really. But in this case right here, it's very important to look at, all I care about in this situation is getting their arm like that. That's it. I want to make sure I'm not stabbed, the dagger's on their arm's on my shoulder, dagger's out of their hand, I'm doing horrible things to their arm, and I'm alive, and they are hurt, and I'm in control. And that's essentially one of the bigger lessons of this. So with this right here, again, these are just two possible outcomes. I wanted to read what it says specifically out of here, which is one of the reasons why, again, you have mechanics. You're trying to set this thing up. You're not trying to do exactly what it says in the book. This image is something that's horrible to do on somebody, right? What he says, at least for the translation here of this version, is the good grapple I have you in won't fail to break your arm over my left shoulder. Then I can strike you with my dagger. This is a play that cannot fail. In no way, shape, or form does he tell us how to get into that, except for the fact that we have first master covers that, again, I think that all this is playing off of. So off of this right here, off of the first intention of first cover, these are the things that can happen from it. And on top of that, we have the turns of the feet, we have the different body positions, and we have footwork that all apply. And again, this is not just that we are trying to find this position. We are trying to put ourselves into this position, okay? And that means that essentially we apply what has been learned so far, and we apply what the manuscript also prescribes to us in later sections and in this section here to achieve these outcomes. At least that's how I see it. And I think these are rather effective, and I think this right here is one of the big pieces here that, again, makes Fiore very fluid, because it's not about one way, it's about this is something right here that's going to make you lose the knife. How you get there? Well, let's find out. And that's one of the big things I really like about his manuscript, at least for me. So with that being the case here, that's going to wrap up this video. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. This one is a little bit complex. And the big thing right here, it's hard to shoot and it's hard to explain without having people to see the sinew lines and all the movements that are on this right here. Because at the end of the day, there's a lot here that's involved about someone coming in and how we may or may not be having to deal with them in different forms and fashions. Again, these are just two interpretations. One of them is not mine. It's something that I saw out there, which is the whole coming across and coming under, which makes a lot of sense. It's actually very similar to some of the disarms I've seen within the McMap program in the Marine Corps. Again, it's just a basic way of being able to get someone's arm onto your shoulder. So that there's that piece. And then the other one right there is it's more about what I think about when you step stretta or step largo off of the tutta volta to get there so that you make this really bad for them. And again, these are all forms about going with someone's pressure. Again, kind of like before where the person comes in with the dagger, we get to the outside and we push into stabbing at them. And we're giving into that pressure to give ourselves an advantage without having to fight against it. So again, that's going to conclude this. Like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Please leave a comment below. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. I'd love to hear what you're seeing out there. And again, thank you so much for tuning in with this and all the support that's been out there. Until next time, everybody, as always, stay safe, train well, and fight on. I'll see you all soon.